Got dry, itchy nose. It's a little dehydrated. A little dry in my room. I'm watching some video on MSNBC. Host Freaks breaks down in tears. Jen Psaki barely had an emotional breakdown. Look, I'm not in the media. I don't do social media. I don't do any of that stuff. I do real world stuff. I write software. I work on projects. I don't have time to spend with this social media crap. I don't do a whole lot of social media. If I'm on social media, it's because I'm waiting for something to get done. That's usually the only time I'm on social media. Right now, it is like 1:30 in the morning. I'm not waiting on anything. I'm just awake. I have no idea. My sleep schedule screwed up because I had to do something this past week, and now I have to wait for about a week before I can get back on task again. I don't do any of this social status stuff. Social status is not a real thing to me. Reason why is because high school and senior year, basically senior year of high school is the peak of social status. As far as anything goes, as far as society goes, social status basically ends after college permanently. Like you're not a better person because you make more money than somebody, because there are people out there that can get to you. Like nobody's untouchable. Like never make that assumption in the United States. Never make the assumption that somebody can't get to you, because if there's a will, there's a way. Nobody's out of reach anywhere in the country. That includes Larry Fink. That includes Soros. Nobody is out of touch. Not even Clinton. Nobody is untouchable. We can get to anybody we want. Anybody we want to put in prison for crimes they've actually committed, we can get to them. We got Diddy arrested. Do you know how long it took to get Diddy arrested? 3 weeks. It was a 3-week conversation. Diddy got rolled up. Unfortunately, California let him go because that's what California is. Obviously, he made a backroom deal because that's how the hip-hop community does things. There's nothing honest about hip-hop. The entire community is absolutely trash. It's backdoor community, basically meaning they do gay sex offers and all this other stuff, which is exactly why Diddy got arrested, because of the gay sex deals. Trash community. I no respect for him. And somebody was like, "Oh, what about Detroit?" Like, yeah, okay. What have you done for Detroit? He didn't even move back home. He moved out of Detroit. The first thing he did was move out of Detroit. It's the first thing everybody does when they get rich out of that city, is they move out of the city, which is weird because we have communists that moved into the city from Hong Kong. Actually, technically not communists, they're just Hong Kongers that moved into the city while they were rich, and they stayed there. But, I guess they're used to Hong Kong. I guess if you're used to Hong Kong, you can take Detroit, because Detroit's nothing compared to Hong Kong. How Hong Kong used to be, not how it is now. Hong Kong used to be really bad. Look, I'm all crooked and stuff. Let's adjust this. I'm not fancy. I don't have a whole lot of money to spend on camera goods and stuff like that. So that's why my quality of my content is low. I don't have flashy black bordered walls. I don't have a green screen and an artificial background and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm not fancy like that yet. Maybe someday I'll have that. I don't actually care. I've been back on subject. Social status doesn't mean anything, and I notice a lot of women attacking me are usually like mid-20s and up, and they're just not quite comprehending that the U.S. is not a playground. This is where people live. They don't like it when you play around with their status quo. They don't like it when you screw with their children. They really do not like it when you pass laws that make it impossible for them to, one, operate as free enterprise persons. Two, not defend their children. So if they can't defend their own children, they get very mad. And three, you did both of those, and that's the response. You did both of those, and I had to come out of retirement to help get rid of that. Because you're going to vote in somebody else named Harris that was on board with transing up kids using government force. You were using the government to trans children. That is the most psycho crap I have ever heard. And now we see aftermath of this transing stuff. They're all shooters. Look how many of them pop their gourd, and just go up and shoot up a bunch of kids. And it's like, oh, it's not the guns. It's not the guns. It's the people that are being tortured by Democrats. Forcing these people to be trans. Like, they put this mind virus in them. They get convinced of this idea that they can become a woman. These men can become a woman, as a woman can become a man. And they get absolutely convinced of this stuff. And that's all it takes. And the amount of cognitive dissonance that it creates in their mind, I can't imagine how that must feel, because I've never felt any cognitive dissonance like that. I've actually never had any cognitive dissonance in my life. I was fully aware of all my choices when I had to do things that would otherwise compromise my moral condition or my moral standing within a society. I was always fully conscious and aware of what I was doing. Some things I did in the past that somebody would say was questionable about my morality were done because they had to occur in order for something else to happen. My life was stuck. I didn't want to work at Home Depot for the next 80 years because George was obviously never going to take his boot off the economy's neck. Obama didn't do it either. He just stomped on it with both boots instead. And now we're trying to get Trump to let off, and he keeps wanting to lower the interest rate, and that's the boot on our neck is the low interest rate. Not understanding that, I don't know how to put this more emphatically. The boot of tyranny is led by low interest rates. That's like the tread touching the very hairs of the bearded neck, if you're a guy with a bearded neck, is the low interest rate. For the guy with insider connections and all that stuff, he loves that low interest rate. For the working Shlomo out here, no, it's really bad for us. Drives up the cost of everything. It reduces the availability of currency for us because we get what's called the liquidity trap, which is a Keynesian thing. We've had this discussion. I don't want to hear about it. Okay, Rob. Okay, Tom Woods. We've had this discussion about the liquidity trap more than once. Stop hammering me about it. We've gone all over Mises about the liquidity trap. You don't agree that the liquidity trap is real. I disagree. I think the liquidity trap is sectional. I think it's sector-based and regionally based. The Midwest gets liquidity trapped every time the interest rates go low. All the money goes to either New York City for the big stock exchanges and the fancy construction projects for skyscrapers, or it goes out to the West Coast for fancy tech projects that do nothing. Literally nothing. That's just the way it is. Like the Yo app. $12 million for nothing. But that's basically how it is. It's like that's how the economy works. Whenever all this stuff kicks up, we sit here and we look at it and we're like, low interest rates did what for the Midwest? Nothing. What does the Midwest rely upon? Higher interest rates, steady prices, and raw materials. Raw materials, commodities go through the roof with low interest rates. Nobody can afford to do any steel work, anything with aluminum, anything, literally anything. Commodities go through the roof. when the interest rates are low. They go right up. And low interest rates screw the Midwest because your manufacturing base is in the Midwest. Our commodities come from the Midwest. We have to have steady pricing. Yeah, sure, the guy selling the steel makes a fortune right before he goes out of business because he doesn't have any customers because everyone went to China for the cheaper prices. I still think that 5160 is a better steel than 304, but hey, I'm not Elon Musk. And 5160 is way better steel. It's just a way better steel for literally everything he's doing. But he's all worried about saltwater corrosion because he just had to land on water. Makes no sense to me, but he just had to land on water. After 5160 would immediately fall apart if it landed in water. But going back to the conversation at hand, we need higher interest rates to be more beneficial to the United States. It's way better. Low interest rates just kill the central part of the country. But, Hillary is a flyover country and all that stuff, her comments about it, or just flyover country, we don't matter. Hence why when Clinton was around, his interest rates snuck lower and lower. And why is it that anybody that's on the progressive team, progressive right, the MAGA crowd, still thinks that low interest rates is good for the economy? They're good if you only value the number of dollar bills you have in your wallet, not the actual value of the dollar bills in your wallet. I don't know about you, but I like it when the Midwest is doing better. I'm from the Midwest. I live in the Midwest. I also like it when the Midwest is not getting strangled by the rest of the country while they talk crap about us. It's unbelievable how much nonsense I have heard about, Wisconsin. I get these guys from Chicago all the time. You better go to Ohio. And Florida doesn't always say, you better go to Ohio. Like, why? I don't even know what that means, for one thing. Like, I don't understand it. I'm not a Mexican. I'm not on that Mexican survival list. They're trying to build some kind of survival colony out in Ohio at the bottom of Lake Michigan. I'm not into that. Like, I'm not in that survival crowd. I don't want to know anything about it because it just seems like crazy talk. And again, interest rates should be higher, not lower, because we don't need more businesses in the tech industry and the banking sector that don't do anything. We raised interest rates and hundreds of banks collapsed almost immediately. They were insolvent. All those banks existed because of low interest rate, because they could get cheap money and leverage up. Like, how many banks are we seeing right now that are under stress, under duress? And I don't think any of our current main banks, even the 12 main banks within the Federal Reserve System, could pass a stress test right now. I don't think that any of them could. I really don't think so. I don't think Bank of America could. And that's the largest bank in the country. Moody was right when they downgraded the United States. I really don't think anybody can pay off this debt. I have a plan to do so, but I was told that I'm a dumbass, I'm a moron, I'm white trash. Made fun of my appearance, made fun of my height, and all this other stuff. And then they told me I need to go be a gay black prostitute, which was some crazy talk. That's some crazy stuff that I went through because of that one person. I don't wear a little hat on my head, so who am I to question the mafia? When the mafia tells me to do something, I'm a nobody, remember? Just a fucking nobody. I'm glad I served and wore this country's uniform to have a mafia member tell me what the fuck to do on my own soil, in my own hometown too. The fucker rolled right up in his car, made fun of me, talked crap about me, and threw a bunch of gay dudes at me like I was a queer. I absolutely fucking love it. I love it. I love that the Jew mafia is that brazen with their behavior. They think they can just do anything because they have a corrupt cops here in Kenosha. More than a few. There's quite a lot of corrupt cops on the Kenosha PD. Oh yeah, don't get me started on Kenosha County Sheriff, yeah. We know all about that already, my arrest. If anybody even watches this video, that would be even better. I doubt that's ever going to happen, but yeah, Kenosha's corrupt. The mafia is here, but it's not the mafia you think. Like, oh, these are the Italian. No, these dudes are all Jewish. How do we know they're not Italian? Dude, you're like 5 foot tall. You ride a Fat Boy Harley, and you're like 5 foot. I am taller than you. I am taller than you, and you're talking crap to me. Like I give a... You know what? Go pray. Thank Jesus. Thank God.